Hello and welcome back. My name is Sil, and today we're going to be taking another look at this game that I am working on. It is a voxel game if you haven't seen it before. It's currently nameless. We'll eventually get around to giving it an actual name once we kind of decide exactly what we want to do with it. But for now, we're implementing quite a few features that are helpful for experimentation and exploration of what you can do with voxels. So currently we've got this guy in here now. So he's made out of tiny little voxels here. If we go ahead and zoom in up on him, you can see that he's just made up of color voxels. He doesn't have any shading on different sides of faces, so it's a little hard to tell his profile exactly. But it works nonetheless for now. We'll be adding some more features of that here pretty soon, making it so you can edit color-based voxels and bring them in and generate vertex buffers for them and that kind of stuff. This guy's just kind of spanned in here so we can kind of see him. He doesn't have any animations, as you saw. When I walk around, he just kind of slides around. He does face the direction you're moving, which is kind of nice. But he's mainly a placeholder for now, so we'll get around to dealing with him later. So, if you saw already, if I push tilde now, we can go into edit mode, and the little menus on the right and on the bottom pop out, and they do a little bounce interpolation there, which is kind of nice. We've added different tools at the bottom. We got the default tool, which is what you'd normally expect from like Minecraft kind of mentality. You delete and place single blocks. You can push F to sample a block and change your block. You can also scroll wheel to change between blocks and place different things down. You can also, there's some quick keys. If I hold shift down, we can go into fill mode, and you can see in the tool menu down there at the bottom that it actually puts a little orange background for it, indicating that you're going to do a fill. If I do a left click here and a left click there, we can delete a whole area, and we can do like a 3D delete here. If I left click there and I left click here, we can see that we get rid of a whole area. We can do the same thing with fill, so we can right click here, right click there, and it'll fill the whole area with the block type that you're placing, and we can go ahead and fill that back in there. We can also control left click does a 3x3 delete, or 3x3x1 to be precise, so depending on which face you're looking at, it'll delete a 3x3x1 area. And then we can also shift right, or control right click, and we can replace the block that we're looking at, which is really helpful when you're trying to change the colors or change the texture of something that you've already built. So that's really nice and helpful. Now, if we change to the 3x3x1 tool, this does the same thing for left click where it deletes a 3x3x1 area, but you can also do a right click and place a 3x3x1 block of blocks. So we can go ahead and get rid of those. And then we can also, we can control right click to replace, kind of like in the default tool. And then we can shift left click to clear out spheres with this tool, and we can shift right click to fill in spheres with this tool, which can be kind of helpful for clearing out if you want to make like a cave system like this, right? So that's pretty cool. We haven't really implemented the replace tool, though there is simple functionality for replace in the other tools, so we'll probably do some other stuff with that later. The fill tool, again, isn't implemented. You can do fills with the default tool for now. But we have done this face tool because I feel like this would be the most useful for generating some nice worlds and being able to create some geometry pretty fast. Basically, the idea was that with this is that we can look at a face of any type. Let's go over here just to make it simple. So if we click on the face, we can delete it. It basically does a somewhat 2D area fill, essentially is what it does with the face that you're looking at and the block that you click on. It'll do a search out until it finds everything that's not covered by a block on top of it and is in the same axis plane that you're looking at, right? So in this case, this is the z-axis, so it's gonna go along the z-axis that way and this way and everywhere that it can find. And it's going to either delete or replace the blocks that you click on, right? So we can also do a right click and replace it with the block that we're using. So this is really nice for quickly changing the faces of a room or something of the like, and being able to quickly just change what they look like. We can also do a shift right click to place on top of, as you saw there, we actually got, it like places it out. So that's useful for changing the size of a room, but keeping this general shape. We can also shift right click, whoops, sorry, not shift right click, we can control right click, and it'll do an inset tool where it'll replace or delete all of the blocks but the outside perimeter. And you can also do the same thing with control right or left click to get rid of the blocks, right? So you can kind of do something like that, which is kind of cool. Maybe you want to do something like that, right? So that's pretty cool. And then you can quickly use the tool again to just fill in the faces that you created. So yeah, that was a pretty fun tool to implement. I think it has a lot of possibility for improvement too, and I just haven't ever really seen it done before, so it was something that I wanted to try out. Another thing that we've done, as you see, is that you can actually raycast from outside of the geometry now. So even though I'm technically inside blocks, it'll raycast until it finds air or an empty space, and then it'll find the first block you're looking at. So you can edit geometry from outside the room, which is nice because we're going to be working in caves a lot, and those caves may not be super big, so it would be kind of annoying to have to always edit them while inside them. So let's see, what else? We've also, we've switched over to a sparse chunk-based system, right? So if we go ahead and push tab here, we can disable the mouse movement and go open our menu. This has all our debug buttons and stuff. We can look at the chunk boundaries, which help us visualize this here. But if you look here, we got chunks that are 16 by 16 by 16, and there's only chunks where we've actually placed blocks so far, right? So as we build out the world, it'll automatically add chunks as necessary. And those chunks are stored in a hash table based off of the XYZ position, so it makes it really easy for the lookup. And we can see a little readout in the top left where we have 14 out of 512 chunks. And that 512 is just how many we can have in memory at one time, and we can change that pretty easily if we want to do something different with it. But it makes it really nice so that we can just have a dynamically generated world size, and we can have really sprawling worlds that have really long tendrils and stuff that don't take up a ton of storage because it only stores the chunks that are necessary. So that's good. That'll help quite a bit. Go ahead and turn that back off. We can go back into player mode here, and we can move around. If we enable the lighting, we've done a little bit with the lighting. It's still basically the same idea though. If you go around a corner, you see it cast shadows and that kind of stuff, right? We have changed the fall off of the distance, so if you look there at the max view distance there's a better fall off, so the stuff around you is a lot brighter than it was before, which is really helpful for kind of maintaining the feel of a bright room, even though you have a limited view distance. We have had to work with a little bit to change it over to this new voxel system so that it works with a kind of a different canonical position system. As you see, we have a bit of a problem with negative chunks at the moment. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it's just something that I need to get around to fixing, essentially. But if we build out in the positive directions right now, there's no problems with the collision, so that's good. Let's see, I think we have been working a little bit more on the message bubbles that I demoed a little bit earlier in a GIF. If we enable those and we go ahead and go into edit mode here, we just have this test one down here, and we can kind of just make it print out the text. And it prints pretty fast right now, but this kind of just demos the different syntactical things that we want to do with text. We have different size text, we have bold and small text and italic text, and we have different colors for text, and those are all defined in the text that is actually loaded into the message bubble. And so you can make an editor pretty easily so that people can define what color a word should be and that kind of stuff. So hopefully this will add a lot of character to the dialogue in the game so that we can talk to people and it'll feel like they're expressing more than just a bland text output. So that's that right now. There's still more work to be done. We still need to, as you see, the bubble word isn't being wrapped onto the next line, so we need to do that. Other than that, I think that is most of the new features of the game. We have actually added, if you push start, we have added a program state kind of system so that we can change between like an in-game menu and back to the game. And those are all stored and paused respectively, which is good. We also have added key or controller support with X input. So now you can't see it, but I have a controller here, and we can control the player with the controller, which is pretty good. And all of the key bindings are basically the same. So I can jump and I can run with right bumper, and we can push back to disable the view, and we can go into edit mode here, and we can go between tools with the D-pad and go between types of the D-pad up and down, place and remove blocks, all that jazz. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys like it. I will be working more on color chunks like this. I think we're going to call them texels, little guys like this guy. And we'll be adding some cool stuff in the future. So hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.